Welcome to the spooky season. Hello fellow bookners, this is Gabby and today is the beginning of a new vlog. I'm so excited. We are gonna be kicking off my Halloween vlog and I was debating what to do because every year is special. Every year I feel like I pick up some new books. I love Halloween. I love reading spooky books. And I've been discovering my love for horror. So I really wanted to expand on that and kind of delve deeper into it. This is why when I saw this list from Goodreads, I was like, oh, I think we have a winner. This is the list I'm talking about, which is readers' 66 top horror novels of the past 3 years. And I was so excited when I saw this because what better way to discover new horror books than, diving into this list. So I thought, let's have some fun with it. I can't read 66 books in a month, but I can read 6. So we're gonna read 6 out of the top 66 horror novels. It's gonna be decided by random number generator and we're gonna have fun with it. I have already read 13 books out of the 66, which is not bad, but there's definitely more books to read. 53 to be exact books I've not read. Top horror, I've heard of many of them. Many are like top of my TBR, but many I've never seen before. So this is really exciting. 23. We're reading book 23, which is It's Just Like Home by Sarah Gailey. I feel like I've seen Books and Lala read this, but I've never really heard much about this. Horror, fiction, thriller, mystery, adult gothic, and that's it. It's about a scary house. Let's hope maybe script has it. Oh, that hurt. I love surprises like this. It's on Amazon for £2.99. Okay, it's the next day and I've made it to 19%. So far, so weird. So the book is about a woman who clearly there's something very traumatic in her past that happened and there's some drama with her house and her family, but we don't exactly know what's happening yet. So basically, right now she has gone back to her family house because her mother, Daphne, is dying and she asked her daughter to come back after something like 20 odd years or something like that to come take care of her. So when the main character, whose name's V, she was 17 years old, her mom pretty much kicked her out of the house, was like, okay, you're no longer my responsibility, go off, and she hasn't been back since. The house seems really creepy. There's definitely some kind of whatever happened when the main character was like 12, and it's something to do with her dad, but we don't know, like, did he do something bad? Did something bad happen to him? The whole town seems like incredibly hostile and filled with hatred, so we have no clue why. We don't know what's happening. There's already been a couple scenes that have been like really creepy. So far there's been like one kind of flashback chapter, so I assume we're gonna get those throughout the book. So far it seems like a pretty standard, like something bad happened in this house setup. I'm enjoying the writing, nothing wrong with it. I will say I found myself drifting out a bit, finding it a little hard to focus, but I think that's probably me. Probably I was tired or something. I will say, like, I hope it's not something basic, whatever happens. Not that, like, I'm just thinking about, like childhood abuse. Obviously not basic at all, but the way the whole town's reacting and it's being set up, like it really feels like a paranormal kind of thing. But then if it is paranormal, like how does the rest of the world know? What do they think happened? Like I hope it's like delivering, because this is a horror, this is adult horror, so I wanted to deliver. How beautiful does the outside look? Like this could be a painting. This is like 1989 Taylor's version. In terms of having read, I did do that. Okay. When you buy a tripod and a tripod, it's like, might as well not be there. What's the reading that I have been doing? I
made it to, I want to say like 41% of Just Like Home, and I am enjoying it. I feel like it's doing like, I don't know. So far, it's not very paranormal. Like, every once in a while, they'll make an insinuation that it might be paranormal, but then I feel like it ain't, you know? Like, it's very little. But I'm very intrigued about her father and the whole vibe there, and her mother, and what the dynamic there was, because I feel like we're gonna have a paradigm shift in our understanding of her parents. So yeah, I just wanted to pop in, say good morning, me with my little tea, my little white chocolate digestives. Make me so happy. They're so good when you dip them in. I don't like them by themselves, but dip in them. And I'm gonna try to do some reading today. See how it goes. Okay, I'm getting ready for work. I can't be too loud, but I will say that this book really surprised me last night, or maybe not really, but this book surprised me yesterday and disturbed me a little. I was like, oh, now I have to go to bed. That's challenging. So, props. I finished Just Like Home and I feel very accomplished. Yet finally, I will say this book was a bit of a weird one. I'm not really sure how I feel about it, because I feel like the beginning was really engaging and I was into it and it was creepy, and then somewhere towards the end, in the middle, it was just kind of meh. Like, it really dragged. I just was like, all right, is this even supernatural? I feel like things that are quite, I mean, obvious, but I just feel like it took a while to get to some things that were actually interesting. So that took a while, but then definitely the ending was really engaging. And I read, and I only had 15 minutes left, but then a friend came over, so I had to put it down. I was like, damn it, I'm like really into it, and like I was scared. It was really good, and I finished it this morning, and I was like, okay, like this is a vibe. I like it. Um, it's definitely a different story, a unique story. The ending is very unsettling and kind of true to form, I think, for what the story was about. So like, I enjoyed all of that, and I think all of that was done well. But it's just that bit that dragged in the middle that really got me like, meh. And I will say this had some like strong horror elements with the creepiness, the uneasiness, how it all kind of underwent, some of the visuals. But yeah, overall, like, I feel very okay about it. So I wouldn't call this like a runaway success or anything. But I wouldn't also call it like a failure or anything. So I would say 3 stars feels right for the level of my enjoyment. So let's just go with 3 stars and get on to the next book. Okay, let's find out what's the second book I'm reading. I really want it to be available in our script, because my favorite way to like read is to have an audiobook of one book going and an ebook or physical copy at the same time, and then I can read all kinds of settings, all kinds of places, and actually read as much as I can. And that's kind of needed, because the TBR for this month is mighty. 19. That means it's an older book. So what we're reading is Jennifer McMahon, The Drowning Kind. I have never heard of this book. Okay, so The Drowning Kind is kind of like impossible to get. I mean, I could buy the 22-pound hardback, but I'm not gonna do that. I wanted to get the ebook, but it's not available on Amazon or Kobo. They all say it's unavailable in the UK. Script doesn't have it. My library doesn't have it. A Libby doesn't have it. So I'm not really sure what to do. I think I'm just gonna choose again, because I don't need that kind of stress. Let's see what it says. 44. Okay, number 44 is Just Like Mother by Anne Heltzel? There's an audiobook and script. Well, that was easy. I'm glad we pivoted. I realized both of the titles are just like Home and Just Like Mother. Weird. Very weird. But let's talk about Just Like Mother. I'm about, I want to say, around the 25-30% mark. I feel like the book, maybe this is early to judge it, but I feel like I could smell
I could smell the motivations of some characters like as soon as they were introduced. But let me first tell you what this book is about. So we open with our main character being 8 years old in this weird commune type thing where every grown woman is referred to as mother. They don't have names, they don't have any distinguishable ways to call them. Like the main character be like, oh, the mother with the blonde hair, oh, the mother with the big nose. Like it's like that. So we know that there is like a bunch of mothers, and then there's, I now learned, 6 children. And they're all girls, and there's like one baby boy, and we can feel, I mean, I'm assuming we don't know much about it, but that's how we open it. Our main character is living in this commune, and she has a cousin, and her cousin are like both really young. And we only had like 2 chapters, I think, in the actual commune, or the cult. I'm assuming this is some kind of like woman above all cult, kill all the men. I will bet you a lot of money that they're like just using men for breeding. There was like a weird scene that I feel like implied that, or like we're gonna find that out eventually. Because then we jump into present day where our main character is now like 34 years old, I think. So it's been a while. She lives in the normal world. We know that at some point when she was younger, this cult thing was uncovered. She ended up going into foster care, and then she was adopted, and she's now a full-on adult that has problems connecting with people and opening herself up. And then she's been this whole time looking for her cousin who she was separated from when they busted up the cult, I guess. Again, we don't know many of these things, but I'm inferring them. But one day she gets a ping on one of these like DNA sites that where you can submit your DNA and can tell you if you have family that also opted in and did the test. And she gets pinged by her cousin after all these years, being like, oh my God, I can't believe I finally found you. I've been looking for you forever. And then she meets with the cousin and kind of reconnects and rebuilds that relationship. Obviously, just from the title, you know this will be really, really heavily talking about motherhood and women's role in society and babies and that kind of thing. I don't know if that's necessarily my thing, although I do find it, I guess, interesting so far. I feel like I can smell from, like I said, a mile away what the cousin's motivations are. And then the cousin has this like startup that makes those like, you know, those babies. I've seen this like in a TV show before, and I think they're real, but it's called like Once Born or Always Born or New. I don't know. It's like a doll that looks like a baby, but it's like super, 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 super realistic. Like it's meant to help with grieving if you've lost a baby. But yeah, it's like this super realistic infant that you can just buy, but it's a doll. But it's not like a baby doll you had when you were a kid. Like this is like it's like freaky. Like they look exactly like babies. Which I'm like, why do you hire babies for Hollywood movies when you could just use that, you know, and not bother a real baby? Anyway, so I kind of feel like I see where it's going. I don't know if this book will have something new and interesting to say. We're yet to find that out. You know, just because I can see where it's going and it's a trope that's been done before, doesn't mean you can't bring a new perspective and make it interesting and make it fresh. So I'm still really, really interested. And I'm enjoying it. It's a fast read. I'm listening to the audiobook. The audiobook is performed well. But I feel like I can see the trap closing and the main character can't. And I feel like it's gonna be all very nefarious. I just want to be convinced that this is saying something new. And I want to be convinced that this is scary because this is horror. So I'm interested. Let's put it there.
All right, so the thing I'm thinking about Just Like Mother is that it's just so similar to Just Like Home, and it's not just the title, it's the type of female character, them coming back to either home or like a home surrogate, and the fraught like familial relationship and the troubled past. It's just very similar. Nothing on the book, because obviously it's it's a different book. It came out a different time. I don't think it came out more recently, but I'm not saying anyone plagiarized anything. I'm saying I wish I wasn't reading them back to back.
This is like listening to a train wreck. My girl, like,
I think we all know where this is going. I think we all knew where this was going for a while. And this just keeps going and keeps getting worse. This lighting is interesting. I finished Just Like Mother on my way to work this morning because I had like half an hour left on the audiobook. I could have probably finished it last night, but I was like, eh. My one complaint would be this book is so damn predictable. Like, if this was a spoiler vlog and I was like, okay, let me predict what I think will happen based on literally the first 2 chapters, I would have probably explained the rough outline at least of this book. It feels harsh because I see where this book could be impactful for some people. It is talking about relatable and relevant things, or relatable to some people, I guess. Maybe if I was somewhere in my motherhood journey, I would have felt more inclined to care. But I just felt like it was very exaggerated in a sense, and obviously horrors are, but this didn't even feel like a horror. It just felt like maybe a psychological thriller. It was just mid. I just felt like it was very like meh. So a little bit of a disappointment, but we're gonna move forward. I ended up giving this 2 stars on Goodreads. I feel like I always feel bad giving books like 2 stars unless they like truly really upset me. But then at the same time, everything ends up being 3 stars, and I feel like I can't really tell how much I enjoyed something. And this book, I was like, could you be any more predictable? So I decided 2 stars it is. 59, 63, 62, 61, 60. You're at work, behave. Vampires of El Norte by Isabel Canas. This book, oh my god, I wanted to read this book so bad and review it for you, but then it was like available nowhere in the UK. Like you couldn't get it anywhere. So I'm gonna see and try if I can even find it. I think I've seen it pop up since. Like it wasn't that it didn't come out, it was just like not available. You still can't get the ebook in the UK, so I ordered a physical copy for £18. But I have like some leftover Amazon vouchers that I used for this nefarious purpose. I was just reading like a very tense scene in the dark. Doorbell rung, and I was like, and I am expecting someone, so I was like, oh, must be that. But it wasn't. It was my book. It was my book, which is exciting but very scary. It's so beautiful. It feels, wow, feels weird. It's like textured. You cheeky bugger made me buy you in person. Okay, so I started reading Vampires of El Norte, and it's already got me. So what I read so far, I'm on page 24, but what I read so far, I guess described as a prologue, although it's not described this way. But we are in the past. Something rather dramatic happens, and then we end up 9 years later. So I don't have too much context yet because it was just one chapter from each of our main characters. But we have Nina and Nestor. So Nina is a daughter of a Don. Don owns his own like hacienda, his own home, and he's like the master, I guess, and she's his daughter. And then we have Nestor, who is a son of banqueros, I think it says, which there's something to do with bulls, but basically he works on her father's estate. They have been best friends since childhood, and
they have like burgeoning feelings for each other. They wish they could get married. He wants to start his own ranch, and he wants her to marry him. I would assume they're like maybe 11, 12, 13, maybe 14. I'm not actually sure. I guess maybe we'll find out, since it's been a 9-year time jump. I'm not sure how old we're gonna be in this timeline, but I assume they're around like that age, because she just got her period, and I think that's a normal age to get your period. They want to find this like buried silver or buried treasure, because I think they think if they find this treasure, maybe Nestor could open his own ranch and buy his own land, and they could be together. It's not quite explicitly said like that, but I think that's what they're looking for it. And when they hear this rumor that if they dig in a specific place, it's gonna be hidden there, and they go at night to do this, and they get attacked by this creature that like doesn't have eyes, got like bat-like nose, and Nina gets attacked and her throat gets completely ripped to shreds, and Nestor brings her home and is like, and they're like, she's dead, and he runs away. And that's where we are. I assume she's gonna survive the attack. I don't know if she's gonna have some vampiric powers, or like how does she survive the attack, because it sounded rather grim. Also, I noticed that my throat sounds very raspy, and that is because I sang all night and screamed Taylor Swift lyrics at a club night, not because I'm sick, but I sound sick. Also, the sun decided to come out, so I am now blinded. So I'm not actually sure what year this is set. Let me see if I can figure out. Okay, 1840s Mexico. And it's meant to be a gothic horror. So far, it's already delivering. I feel like it's got very like classic feel to it so far. When you think about like Jane Austen's Persuasion or something like that, when there's like something happens in society and propriety, and something happens, I think specifically in Persuasion, when they're like their children and they don't get together because he's poor and she's not, and he comes back years later. But I think from what I remember reading in the synopsis, they both will think that each other is dead. So they're like operating on that premise, and I think the whole book will be them finding their way back to each other, as well as figuring out what the hell the vampires are all about. They sound really, really gross, not sparkly, handsome type at all. So I'm very curious to see where this is going. But so far, I'm not disappointed. 24 pages is not much, but I thought I'd say hi, check in, read a bit more, and let you know what I think. Okay, so I was right, because Nestor just said he's 22, which means he was 13 in the flashback, which feels crazy, because that man was like, this boy was like, I'm gonna buy this land and I'm gonna do this, and I was like, why is his proposal so shit? He was like, well, maybe you want to marry me, like, or something. I'm like, oh, he's 13. That explains a lot. Rude. I made it 108 pages in, so decent progress. And I wasn't even planning to read that much, but just like the yearning got me, man. Like it's just so funny, because like recently we had a live show for daughter of Bone Shard Daughter with Read Along Queens. If you want to check it out, it's up there. But we were saying how like we didn't buy any of the couples, and I feel like it's such a weird thing, because sometimes it's just like it just clicks and works, and you're like, I get it. I get it. And I feel like these two, within like 3-4 chapters, even the first 2 chapters, like each of them got a perspective, and I was like, wow, this is like love. This is like love. Like poets write about this kind of love, like, I don't know. I just feel like it's really painful also, because they're separated, and there's miscommunication, and there's like betrayal or perceived betrayal, and it's just like it's just so gothic and Jane Austen, and it's miscommunication but yearning. I love it. And there, I even tabbed a section because I was like, wow, can you imagine
someone thinking about you. This is like this quote, that quote from Andrew Garfield talking about Emma Stone, being like, she's like being bathed in sunshine and like a shot of espresso, and you're like, holy fuck. Wow. This is Tom thoughts. He should have sensed she was not happy to see him. He should have done or said something to begin on the right foot, but he was struck dumb. To him, the crickets fell silent. The noise of the assembly in the courtyard faded. The moon ceased to glow. The night had no mistress but her. Silent, reverent, he watched the glimmer of the flame reflected in her dark, liquid eyes. Candlelight gilded the tips of her eyelashes and danced along her hairline, caressing the brown hair swept elegantly away from her face. She was a woman now, and more beautiful than ever he could have dreamed. Nothing mattered but this, a bolt of yearning as wide as the sky, a certainty so brilliant it shattered every vision he once had of the future. This is what he wanted. I don't know. It's just, to me, it's like, passion. No, that's all I wanted to say. I'm just like, wow. Also beautiful. I love the writing. It's not very scary so far as a horror. Like, there's definitely like the inkling of horror, and I think this is obviously like a creature horror. It's called Vampires of El Norte, but it's a love story. It's a gothic love story, and I'm here for it. Like, I love the Hacienda, and I think that one had like such good eerie atmosphere, and the scares were good, and it was just so gothic. It was so dark. It was awesome. The romance was just so good, but it was definitely like a smaller part of the book. This is like reading Pride and Prejudice, or like, I never read Wuthering Heights, but I feel like this is what it might be like, or like Northanger Abbey. That's like a gothic spin of Jane Austen's, but like, I don't know. I love it.
In the morning reading, why do I look like a poor Victorian child?
I feel like England didn't get the memo that it's October. It's so hot. It's 24 degrees. I'm literally in shorts. But this morning I spent hours and I read 170 pages in one sitting because I love this book. It's just so good. I feel like this aura, it just shows you how I feel about it. It's so well written. My fingers turned black from it. But besides that, like, it's just so well written, and it's so pining, and it's just two people. Like, I would literally, like, I only have 90 pages left, and if it were up to me, I would just have sat down and read the whole thing in one go, but I couldn't because I've got plans and have to leave my house, so I have to get ready. But like, my God, like, it's just so damn good. Like, I love it. I'm like, is this favorite book of the year? I mean, I don't know. Depends if it lands if it sticks the landing, maybe. I love it. I will say, this is a romance novel. It's not horror. This is way less horror than her first book. So I feel like I'm very curious, because I know Books and Lala is reading it, and I will read it at some point, and she really liked Hacienda. But like, this is like a romance first, not really a horror. So I'm curious to see what like Kayla thinks, because she's not like a huge romance girly. So yeah, super curious. Love it. I'm gonna go, like, I guess enjoy the day or whatever. I wish I was inside reading. If the weather was less good, this would be maybe slightly more atmospheric in terms of like, but you know what, this is set in Mexico, and they often like they were traveling and they had to like do the siesta because it's too hot to be riding. So this is actually like kind of relatable. I'm like, all right, I kind of feel like I'm sweating, it's hot, and I'm unbearably so, and I need a siesta, but instead I have to leave my house. I'm very happy. After the 2 flops, I'm happy. Well, a flop and a half, I'm happy. Do you ever just find yourself on the floor because you've been hit in the face with perfection? I thoroughly enjoyed this book. Do I wish I just kept on reading and read it in one sitting? Yes. Was that possible? No. Therefore, I'm happy I left the last like 90 pages to read all at once. This book just begs to be read super quickly. I loved it. I think It was executed so well. I loved like the relationship and the growth that both of the characters have shown. I love how it all like came together, and the lessons we learned along the way, and the characterization, how that was kind of reflected later. I guess maybe I just wish the supernatural element was slightly bigger, or maybe played a bigger role towards the end. But I kind of get what it was trying to say, and I kind of like it. So, you know, not all monsters are monstrous looking. And I like that lesson. So I'm like, honestly, 5 stars. I don't know why I'm even trying to find something that I maybe could be better. Like, I loved it. 5 stars. I liked it even more than Hacienda, which I already really loved. So yeah, 5 stars out of 2 books for Isabel Canas. I will read everything she writes. Even if I hate it, I will read it because the chance is I'm gonna love it. It's so beautiful. I'm totally not mad that I bought this physically, even though probably my instinct was go with the ebook, but I'll be making videos about this book, so it's good to have the physical copy. But yeah, 5 out of 5. What a win. I am super pleased. Probably will be the best book of the video, but we still have quite a few to go. I think 3. Yeah, this was book number 3. We still have 3 to go. So there could be another amazing winner like this one. Alright, thanks to the disaster that is London public transport, I'm now like 58% into Lone Woman, and I haven't even given you any kind of thoughts, but I literally absorbed like 30% of that book, waiting for the Elizabeth line to come and put me out of my misery. Yeah, Lone Woman, I feel like the most horror so far out of the books that I've been reading, although maybe that's not accurate. It's still quite, it feels like almost like a historical fiction with a sprinkle of the supernatural, but I'm curious to see where it's going. So essentially follow Adelaide. She is a 33-year-old Black woman, and when we meet her, she's kind of fleeing her house. So her mother and father have died. We don't really know how or why or what, but she's trying to get rid of the evidence. To do that, she burns her house down with her parents in it and goes off on a journey. So she lives in California, and she saw this, like, I don't really know like what to call it, like newspaper spread about this woman who went, I think, to the Midwest, got land from the government, and if you work the land for a year or 2 and you prove yourself, like prove that you can tend to this land, you get given the land for free, I think. But you have to like fit certain criteria or whatever. But anyway, it's like the wording super vague. So it's a person, which means that women are also entitled, and women of color are entitled. So she sees this as an opportunity to separate herself from her old life and move forward. Along her journey, the only possession she's bringing, it's this super tattered steampunk luggage, and the luggage is an incredible burden, and we clearly know that this luggage, there's like something dodgy going on with it. There's something very creepy. So like the book is following Adelaide's journey to her house, her new house, that she has to prove herself off with into, I don't know the right wordage, but yeah, so she has to like survive the winter in the house and start a new life essentially. So, you know, we meet her neighbors, we meet people along the way, we find out what's in the trunk, and like it's been now halfway point, but I feel like we found out what's in the trunk like relatively early. Like I thought it would take longer. I think about 30% in, you're like, that's in the trunk, and you find out what it is. But now it's more like it's origin story, why is it there, what is it, and like that kind of like the details. I thought they would drag this whole what's in the trunk thing way longer than I actually did. So far I enjoy it. I mean, I'm like halfway through it. I think the
way the story is told is interesting. It's third person, and like 90% of the time it's Adelaide's perspective, but then once in a while we get chapters from other people, and that we like got one super random chapter from some other person like in the very beginning, or Adelaide, and now we got like 3 chapters from other people nearly in succession. So like I'm a bit confused, but it's fine. I'm very intrigued by this whole trunk situation. I'm curious to see where that leads and what's up. Like I don't find it particularly scary. I know I said this is the most horror, but like I just mean that really bad things happen, I guess. Like it's not like a nice cozy story. Not that any of the books I read are like cozy. Like there's bad things happening, but this one's like murder and drama. It wasn't on script. I ended up paying for an audiobook outside of script, which I don't think I've ever done that before. But there was like a £12 audiobook on like Apple Books, I think it's called. And it was either that or like an $8.99 ebook. And I was like, that's not a big price difference, and I really want to listen to this, not read it, because I have too many things I need to read with my eyeballs. So far, I'm feeling like a 3-star, but I might be surprised.
My exact face at the reveal just now. Just listen to my audiobook. And bam! Shocker.
Okay, got home from work, so can tell you about Lone Woman, which I finished this morning on my way to work, and it was pretty good. I enjoyed it. I feel like in the end, I have not cared too much about anything that happened. I don't feel like I connected that closely to the main character, and I don't actually think it delivered that much on the horror scale of things. It just felt a little like okay, but I wasn't that into it. Overall, I think I have pretty much nothing like new to add. It just felt like okay, it was kind of interesting. It was definitely an interesting look at like racism and the building of America, just post slavery, and an experience of a single woman, single black woman, and kind of xenophobia that's present in these small cities, and mob mentality. Like all of that was really interesting, and it was like quite an interesting look at like the past. I just personally don't feel like it like shook me on a deeper emotional level. Like what happened obviously empathized with, but I just think it lacked certain je ne sais quoi. It was just a bit okay. So yeah, a bit disappointing because I really want to love something so far. I've only loved Vampires of El Norte, but we have 2 exciting books coming up. This was the 4th one. Tick.
Alright, let's see what that means. So 42 is Lakewood, and I have already read this. Really loved it. It's a horror about a woman who has to do medical experiments to survive, and it's about the mistreatment of Black and people of color in healthcare industry. Really good. Really enjoyed it. Definitely stayed with me, so that's good, but that means we have to restart this bad boy. 64, 65, 64. This video is treating me so kindly. Hunting of Alejandra. I'm so excited about this one. Honestly, I've heard like amazing things, and it's just gorgeous in general, and I really want to check it out. Let me see if there's an audiobook. So I actually wanted to do a dedicated review for this book, and then realized it's not coming out in the UK same time as US, and it's still not come out. And it came out in the US in April, which is so annoying. But it's coming out on 17th of October. It's 11th right now, so I can totally still read this for this video. And it's only $6.99 on as an ebook, so I consider that a win.
Honestly, being a Taylor Swift fan is like hard freaking work. Like I woke up this morning, got on TikTok, turns out that they're selling like
bucket and cup Taylor Swift merch at the cinema a day early. And now I have to spend a freaking hour, half an hour each way, to go to View to get it. I don't even know if they have it. They have no information online. And I'm like, this is my lunch break. I'm using my work lunch break for this. And then like my cinema, they don't even let you go through without a ticket. So I'm gonna have to be like, please, sir, I'm just a lame person trying to get just a bucket, please. Let me through without a ticket. And will I buy a ticket if they don't? I don't know, because I'm crazy. All right, well, I'll let you know how that goes. Gonna miss a call at work, but it was worth it. Okay, it's pink. Oh my god. Okay, bye. Honestly, what an adventure. I don't know if you saw that, but that was an impressive catch. I'm so happy! Oh my god, look how pretty! And it's actually really nice quality. It's like tin. And it's so pink! It's so pink! I love it! It's so nice! Beautiful! Oh, I love it. I'm honestly like, I'm beyond happy. This is like so good. And it's a good size. I thought it would be bigger. And then I was like, when the hell would I eat enough popcorn to fill a bigger thing than this? Like, I don't know, it just feels like smaller than expected, but like really good. And I wasn't even planning on getting this, but it was right there, and I don't have a coffee cup, so like I can use it. It was like £4. Honestly, the price for these was so good, and it's also pink. It's so good. Like, this was $3.99, this was $7.99. Did I need to spend that money? Did I plan to spend that money before today? No, I was not. But I'll be happier because of this, and I think that's all that matters. I'm so happy. I literally want to go buy popcorn and make myself a nice coffee and just live my best life. Okay, it's been like weeks, and it's the 27th of October. I want this video to come out on the 30th. The latest I can edit is Sunday, so that's like the 29th. So I have 2 books left to read, and I just feel like I've hit a wall. Like, I knew that I had a couple books I wanted to review, like Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare, Midnight is the Darkest Hour by Ashley Winstead. I read both of those. The reviews are up if you want to check them out. And then I started reading The Last House on the Needless Street, and it just felt like I hit a wall. Like, I don't feel the need to pick it up, so I've just not been. So I have Saturday and Sunday. I don't have too many plans. We do have a live show for the Bone Shard Emperor, second book in the Bone Shard Daughter series. And I am also only halfway through that. I have like 4.5 hours left on my audiobook, so I need to read 3 books. Today's Friday. I have Saturday, Sunday. By Sunday, I want to finish editing the video, which, good luck to me, my computer will explode. So I think, let's put some energy into this and try to do it together. Probably not as much reading today because, work, but tomorrow I have nothing to do. I want to clean my house, I want to cook so I can listen to my audiobook, and we can read The Last House on Needless Street and Haunting of Alejandra. I actually started this last night. I decided to read it on script because it was available for free there, and so I had to read on my phone, which I don't love doing, but I was like, whatever, man, I've already spent a lot of money on books this month. So yeah, I started reading it and I actually got quite into it. I read about 50 pages just before bed, which is like 18%, so pretty good. We follow Alejandra, who's a mother of 3. She recently moved from Texas to Philadelphia, I think, with her husband and her 3 children. And it's pretty clear that she's like severely depressed. She probably has some kind of postpartum depression. She thinks often about taking her own life. She can't get in herself to like really connect and care about the children. Like, I think she does deep down, but she's just like so wore down. She is
a stay-at-home mom. So it's a lot of burden and responsibility on her, and her husband's not exactly supportive because he just says, you have everything, why would you be sad? And she even like told him one time that she felt like taking her own life, and he was like, why would you say that? It's so selfish. So a great guy. Yeah, she's just struggling a lot, and in the moments when she's struggling, she sees this like apparition, like this specter of a woman dressed in white, which we are led to believe is La Llorona. So if you don't know the story of La Llorona, essentially there was a woman who drowned her children, regretted drowning her children, so now she steals children and tries to drown them. That's kind of the gist of the myth. So yeah, so she sees these apparitions that maybe convince her to do things that are not very good. And then we flash back to 1525 or something like that, and we follow a woman who is a Mexican woman, and Spain has invaded, and she has saved her daughter and her remaining family, but she was like kept on this plot of land, I don't know, like by a master, and then is severely abused, and she wants revenge, and she makes a deal with a mysterious creature that will impact generations. So that's kind of the setup. Again, just 18% in. I always believe that up to 20% is like when spoilers start. So hopefully that was an interesting bit of synopsis for you, because I actually wasn't sure if this book was like contemporary but paranormal, but it seems like there'll be some flashbacking and stuff. So I'm excited. I actually did have more fun reading this one than The Last House on Needless Street so far.
I love that when we started this video, I was like, oh my god, it's the warmest October ever. Like, look at me sitting in the sun. And right now I'm like absolutely frozen, like half to death. And it's what, like 11 degrees outside? Why is it so damn cold? I thought my house didn't get cold. I feel so lied to, honestly. I'm gonna hold this in my hands without drinking because I've got a little cookie on top, but I need something to support. Okay, so I finished Haunting of Alejandra. It is Sunday, and I swear I've changed my clothes, but I needed to put a sweater on because it was so cold. So I finished Haunting of Alejandra last night, no, sorry, this morning actually, and I feel like I read that one really quickly. I really enjoyed it. I think it was a really great, this is so crooked, oh my god. Okay, that's better. Anyway, so I thought it was a really haunting story about grieving, about motherhood, generational trauma, looking for help so that you can help yourself, if that makes sense. I feel like, it's just gonna be crooked, isn't it? I feel like Alejandra, and I love that like she decided she needed help and she went to a therapist, and it kind of all kicked off from there. But like, I just love the messages of this book. I think there was a lot there about motherhood and taking care of yourself and choices we make in life. And it was incredibly like motherhood heavy, which like I'm not a mother. So I don't know what that feels like, but I think it definitely spoke to a lot of fears that you have. If you were to become a mother, would your life change completely? Will you be alone? Like what will it be like? But I think there's hope, so much hope in this book, and it's shining through, and I thought it was really well written, honestly. That I don't know how much I can say about it without spoiling the experience. I loved how the main character just starts at the lowest point possible and just drags herself out of it, and I love that we got to see that. So at first I was like, wow, we're starting like low, so what's the glow point gonna be? But I feel like I like that we started almost as low as it went and just went up, and that felt with hope for me. So yeah, I gave it 4 stars. I would totally recommend. Really quick and easy read. Okay, maybe if you have some of the struggles that are just described in the book, it's not so quick and easy for you. Again, I don't have children. I've not been abandoned by a parent, so personally it didn't like speak to me on those fronts. So it was easy for me to read. I was like, oh yeah, like I even read on my phone and had a good time with it. So maybe for you won't be as easy, maybe it will be, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. 4 stars, would recommend.
8. The Last House on Needless Street.
on Needless Street. I have started this a while ago. I have the ebook and it was really cheap. It was like $1.99. So I was like, thank you very much. We follow 3 perspectives. So we follow a man who lives on the last house on the Needless Street. He's a bit of a hermit. He lives alone. He has a cat. He has a daughter. And he's a bit of a weirdo. There's like some very weird aura things going on. When he, like 10 years ago, he was one of the suspects in the disappearance of a little girl that was like 6-year-old girl that went missing on a beach. He was one of the suspects. His house got searched. They took a photo of him in front of the house, but they didn't find anything in his house, and he had alibi, so they like let him go. And now it's like 10 years later, we follow him as he lives his day-to-day life. And then the second perspective is we follow his cat. So we have like a weird narration from the cat. I think the cat is called Olivia. And the cat is like super religious. It's a bit bizarre. Like the cat believes in God, and the cat likes reading the Bible, and the cat thinks that she's been sent here for a holy purpose to protect Ted, the main character. The cat is like zealous. Like she's religious. So we have a super religious cat. The cat just living his life. She like has a crush on another cat, is a whole thing. And then we follow third perspective, which I think that character's name is Dee Dee. And she is the sister of the little girl who went missing, the older sister. So she was that day on the beach, but she went off by herself and didn't take care of her sister. Her sister went missing. Her whole life kind of fell apart after that. Her mother left, her father, I think he might be dead now. But like her whole family fell apart. So she's made it her family, her mission to find her little sister, or at least find the kidnapper. I have an inkling of what's going on, but it seems very obvious for like page 1. So I'm just a bit confused. And I'm like, is it gonna go exactly where I think it's gonna go, or is it gonna surprise me? It could surprise me. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. Okay, it's Monday before Tuesday Halloween, so consider this my costume. I am a vigilante, can you tell? Anyway, I finished Last House on Needless Street, which means we're done with the 6th book. I didn't know if I could do it, but I did it. Like, I need to finish editing the video with this clip. I did everything else yesterday, then only about 5 hours of it rendering and uploading, and the video will be done, which is pretty amazing. The video clocks in around an hour. I'm aware. Hopefully you're still here having fun with me. But Last House on Needless Street, I think I said I can see where this is going from a mile away or something like that. You sweet, sweet summer child. That was in fact incorrect. One thing I will say about this book, it is not predictable. I mean, sure, some of it you can predict, but I would describe this book as a nesting doll, and every time you get somewhere, it turns out it's just another layer. So it's like one of those never-ending corridors, you know? You just go deeper and deeper. Actually, it's a little like the 7 Circles of Hell. Is that how many circles of hell there are? There's a lot of circles of hell. There's a lot of dolls in this doll. And I think gripe number 1, this book, it should have been so much shorter. Like the first 40% were the most meandering, boring, just like, I don't know why I'm reading this stuff. Second half, batshit. So it's like, we got there, and do I love everything that we got? I don't think I can say that, but at the same time, at least it was different and interesting. While the first bit, I just felt like we were doing nothing a lot, and I understand that we were setting up the characters and we were like working on the setting, and like I appreciate all of that, I really do. But I was just like, I don't want to be reading this. Like, I am not having fun. And there were bits where you're like, this is disgusting. I don't want to read from this perspective. And then yet again, you learn new things. So like,
I think it's a very effective, it's quite an effective horror novel, definitely different than anything I've read so far, takes the unreliable narrator quite far. So if that's something you enjoy, there you go. There is an aspect to it where I'm not gonna say what, because that's like a really big spoiler, but there is a medical condition that plays a really big part in the book, and that medical condition is something used quite a lot in like narratives and fictional stories, and sensationalized a lot, and the author doesn't have the condition. So sounds like the author did a lot of research and she put a lot of work into it, so like that's fair play, but something about it I'm like, like, oh, okay. In the end, what do I want to say? Way too long, a little meandering, very repetitive, interesting premise. I think second half was executed well. If you enjoy unreliable narrator, nesting doll kind of horror, and the horror not coming from supernatural but rather like human nature, I think it's an interesting book, definitely a wild ride. I can't say that I enjoyed the wild ride, but I generally do not enjoy roller coasters, so that can explain why. So yeah, in the end, I think I'm just gonna give it 3 stars. There were parts where I was like, this is a 2-star book, like I hate this book, I don't want to be reading this anymore. I was like, almost, if I was not reading this book, if I was not making this video, I would have DNF'd it. But then in the end, I couldn't put it down. So like there's like 2 parts to the story, and I just wish we got to the good part a bit. I wish we got to the interesting part a bit faster, because I was like struggling. That's gonna be it for this video. Again, like, I'm so sorry how long this video is. Holy freaking shitballs, Batman, like very long video. The raw footage will clock in around 1 hour 40. So I cut it down for you a lot. You're welcome. Who do I think I am? Books and Lala? Clearly I'm trying to be. Anyway, I hope you had fun. I hope you enjoyed this video. Really read 6 horror novels. The best one, hands down, Vampires of El Norte. That Haunting of Alejandra was really good. Yeah, then I would put Lone Woman. Then this one. Is that true? Yeah. And then Just Like Mother. That was a dud. Anyway, I hope you hang out with, I hope this hangout with me was fun. I hope you enjoyed hearing me talk about these books. Let me know, what are your favorite horror novels? Because I don't feel like I truly got the macabre, you know? I don't know, like I feel like I should have read some TJ Kingfisher or something. I think one of my favorite like horror authors is definitely Grady Hendrix. I think his books are just like such quirky, outrageous, supernatural, out of the box experience that I love him. I really enjoyed my one TJ Kingfisher, but I love anything gothic, but I'm still exploring my journey with horror. So if you have any recommendations, do let me know. I'm very open to them. As you see, I think I'm gonna do another video with some kind of random number generation at some point, because I had a lot of fun. And thank you so much for hanging out with me. Happy Halloween. If you like this video, give it a comment, give it subscribe. What am I even saying? This is why you don't change your outro. Anyway, thanks for hanging out with me. I'll see you in my next one. Bye.